Okay, we are going to be looking at a practical workflow with Noemi, a practical workflow for turning a small app into a working deployment. And she's going to show us a practical workflow for building and deploying a self-hosted web app using Antigravity and some other things. The focus is on mini SaaS builds, which are lightweight apps designed to be specific niches that can be sold to multiple clients. So if you have an idea that you know people would pay for, you're in the right place. She's going to show us how to use web-based app build components and a lightweight CRM workflow model. And you will come away with a clear MVP plan and architecture for an installable web app that helps solo gig providers run recurring services professionally, plus a simple trial to paywall pricing model. So I feel most of us know Mimi or Noemi or whichever way you would like to refer to her, but she's an IT project leader who likes turning messy real-world problems into clean workflows and simple tools. She teaches practical AI and is stepping into platform building I heard something about that earlier, by showing how to ship lightweight self-hosted mini SaaS apps that solve niche problems. So we will put her links in the salon so you can catch up with Noemi in LinkedIn. But now, I should say, so as we're going through, if you have a question, if you want to put your hand up and we'll just find like that perfect break time to slip that question in, realize like in a building situation like this, it's not always a good idea to keep your questions till the end because once it's gone out of your head, it's gone. So if you stick your hand up, we will find a good time to put that question in. So now I will hand it over to Noemi.
Thank you, Vicki, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited, and I'll start with this. So what Vicki said about what we're going to be doing today, yes, that will all happen, but I will also say I want to share with you all, because I know Kyle mentioned it yesterday during the live, that I would be sharing with you the things that I have built. I do have an app on the App Store, and that's something that came together quickly, and surprisingly so, because I didn't know there wasn't enough resources out there to help me through that. So I can talk about that, and I can also talk about my platform. So if you guys want to either in the chat or kind of, I'm not sure how to best do this, tell me which direction we can go. So this is like pick your own adventure kind of scenario. Where do you want to dive into? Let's see how I built the app that I have on the App Store. We can look at the platform that I built, or we can do straight to the build. So you guys tell us what you guys think about that. You guys can speak up, unmute, whatever you'd like, just to get some input on that.
I'd like to see the platform first.
Okay.
I'd love to see how you built it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for the build too, but also the platform. So I'm 1 for 1 there.
Yeah, okay. I think the build is good. And then if at the end you want to maybe take 5 minutes to talk about how you prepped it for the App Store, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of the end, I forgot to mention that if we do go a few minutes over, that's fine with us. And if you would like to stay, that's great. And if you have to leave on the hour, that's also good. But we're going to try and fit it in, but sometimes just like leak over the end a little bit, or an hour or so, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay, good. All right, so then platform first. All right, so here's what we'll do first before I even show. Okay, so I'll do it this way. First I'll show you the platform. I'll kind of explain what it is and kind of give you a little tour of it, and then I'll go into how I built it. Then I'll go into building an app for, something that you can create yourselves. And I've prepped some tools that you guys can actually use to build an app. So like you can actually, as I'm going through this, you can try it yourselves. Then after that, I'll show you the app that's in the App Store, which is not the platform. It's actually a sticker pack. So I'll show you the sticker pack, how I put it together, because that's actually a more of a walkthrough, because it's harder to do that in real time. Takes quite a bit of time to get through creating all the images and doing all those things. So we'll do platform, build, stickers. Is that good? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, wait, before I do that, let me first bring up my tabs. Hold on here. Hey, Reggie. Let me see if I can find. And you'll have to excuse me a little bit because my my tab management game has gotten better. I will admit. So I will. I think I have to share my browser. Okay. Sorry, guys.
We're getting an echo now. I think you might have one extra microphone on somewhere. Or maybe not.
Or maybe someone else's microphone.
Oh, could be. Could be.
Yeah.
No, it sounds good now.
Okay, good. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? Okay. This is Toby. This is an app management system. I love it because I organize my tabs like for real. So like they're in categories and colors and I can group them and use them efficiently. Okay, so this is Magister. Magister is designed to be the platform for people who are educators and speakers. And so what this does is it basically helps manage the business end of being a public speaker or a thought leader. And I won't go too much into, you know, sales pitchy stuff, but I will say it's pretty cool. So I'm going to log in just so I can show you what it is and what it does. And the idea behind Magister is that you, as a speaker, have all of the components that make up your business managed within one place so that you can connect all the dots and see where you're actually putting your energy and whether or not that's the best thing for you as a speaker. When you first sign in, you see the dashboard, and this is just basically looking at your high-level activities, how many contacts you have, total revenue, active cohorts, and then the frameworks. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But as a speaker and as a teacher, most people have topics that they talk about, and that's what a framework is. You're basically saying the topics that I teach about aren't just, you know, I'm going to have this little conversation about this. It's actually content that I can deliver, and it qualifies as a framework. Tempo is where you keep track of your activities, and this is where you're basically moving beyond the regular calendar and you're moving into where you're spending your energy. So this gives you an opportunity to add time blocks and say, okay, on this day to this day, it's going to be this. The cognitive load is going to be high or low, or however you want to grade that. The relational load. So like if you're a person that knows I'm going to have to work with a team of people and that's going to be difficult for me, you can set that to however you want so that you can anticipate what that means for you as you're planning your day or your week. You can also add more details, whether this is speaking engagement, this is, you know, you're working on creating content or, you know, operational stuff. So it's all kind of like add your time blocks based on the activities that you're doing for your business. The speaking one is kind of it's a central part of it. It's where if you're doing a conference or if you're having a talk or a workshop, this is where you would put that. And as you create your bookings, you can add information about the event, what kind of speaking engagement it would be, the organizer contact, and then what resources you're going to be using from your vault, which is your topics. The grow module is about when you do things to grow your business, like appear in a podcast, write a blog, create something that someone else will look at later and say, oh, I want to see that. I want to see the speaker. I want to know more information. That's where you would put these activities, is the growing activities. The teaching activities is basically that. Like this is where you would put, like if you're teaching a course, this is where you would place your course. As you create your course or cohort, you would name it, give it what blueprint you're going to be pulling from. So from your vault and the things that you teach about, what is the blueprint that you're using to teach this particular course or cohort, start date, end date, number of students, and the pricing on it, and then you create your cohort. Now, eventually this will lead to the monetization part, which is where you can actually have, you know, your Stripe payment integrated so that you can accept payments from your students through this part of the website. Vault is where you're putting in the topics that you teach about. And so for my example here, I have 4 different frameworks that I use. From these frameworks, I develop other topics. So leveraging AI, executive presence. So within the main topic of leveraging AI, that is connected to the executive presence program. And so that's where the vault just kind of keeps track of all of your intellectual property, how you use it, how you apply it, and all of the different ways that you do that. Pages is where you actually create a web page to either sell a course, give people a landing page. So like if you go to an event and you want someone to say, hey, I want to see your website, and you want to go beyond just giving out your link. You want to be able to track how well that event or that podcast or that blog post or whatever you're doing tracks for your business. And so you would create a page with a special link for that. And that would be one of these. And once you do that, all of the activity from that website is tracked on public pages. And so you'd be able to see that here, the performance of that and how well it performed for you in generating revenue, whether that be by selling courses, selling intellectual property, scheduling appearances, etc. Unite is the module where you would basically put in your social media presence, all of the integrations for your social media presence. So you can add in your school community, Instagram page, Facebook groups, whatever group it is, you can integrate that here. And then that will allow you to also track from your social media presence who ends up going into one of your courses or speaking engagements, or even ends up booking a speaking engagement for you or refers you to someone else, etc. Yes, this is all one app. Nexus is one of the most important and key things about Magister, and it keeps track of your contacts. And so as your connections grow, this list will grow. And since I cleared out all of the demo data from here, I only have Ann Murphy in here, but I have a whole bunch of other people in here, but it's just, I cleared everything out and I accidentally wiped everything out. So it's just me and Ann right now, but essentially what this does is it allows you to connect a person to different activities. You can have engagements tracked to the person. You can have any bookings tracked to the person, any new notes added to that person's history with you within this platform. Ledger module is where you keep track of your money. And that is where the AI component kind of kicks in a little bit more. And analytics is where AI kind of shows up and says, hey, your activities this month, for example, let's say there's an opportunity to improve conversions, review your offer position and follow-up sequences. So my AI insight is telling me, hey, you're not doing some of the work that you need to do in your conversions. Go ahead and start working on that, build some pages, do some work to start tracking your activities. Let's see, Book Me to Speak is one of the default pages that everyone will get. And it just basically has a standard landing page for everyone. It's just the basic info for every speaker. And you can add things to it, remove things from it. And it would be here in this view here. Then enrolling in programs. This is where you would create a page that has a link to all of the programs. And I'm so sorry, I don't have like dummy data to show, because again, I cleared it out, not knowing that I was going to be showing this today. So going back a little bit, so that's what Magister is. Magister basically helps you manage your business as a public speaker, thought leader, engagement manager, all those things. So do you guys have any questions about that? I know it's a lot.
I have one question.
Yes.
Sorry. If I have a client who is a speaker, could I use this for them? Or would they have to use it themselves?
So there is going to be one of the packages it's called Studio. Renamed it the Empire. Empire is where if you have several people that are speakers, you can buy an Empire license and then you can manage multiple speakers. And so you're basically managing each speaker's Magister. So Every
Got it.
person has their own tenant. So you would be in charge of each of those tenants. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm sure you'll talk more about this when we talk about the build. Is this meant to replace other applications like Honeybook or Airtable? So, and I guess, is it about personality? I mean, like maybe some people want everything in one place while other people just want to buy it off the shelf. I mean, like, is there a specific kind of avatar that you have of use this?
Absolutely. So this is built for the person who is tired of managing Google Calendar, Zoom. Well, Zoom is going to be there, but Google Calendar, Canva. What are the other ones people use? Sometimes people use System.io. There's like a multitude of other platforms that people are using that are hard to manage. So if you're constantly spending all of your time managing 4 or 5 different CRMs or whatever you're using to manage your business, one, there's no connectivity between all of those resources. And so you're not getting the insights from the AI that's going to tell you, hey, you've spent a lot of time building this one website, but everybody's interested in this course. So that's kind of, the avatar is basically someone who is exhausted, doesn't want to spend time building in all these different silos, and is deciding, I need an integrated system to manage everything.
Thank you.
One question from Mary Carroll. Does it help you find speaking engagements, or is that another step that's coming up later?
That is a very good question. It's not included in here, but if you have your integrations in for, like, let's say your social media and you have pages set up, one of the things that you can do is email your contacts from within Magister, and you can say, hey, I have the following bookings open, or the following event dates open for long-term bookings, or like, multiple day events and things like that. So it will allow you to connect with the people in your in Nexus. Let's go back here. So once you have a good amount of people in here, you're able to connect with everyone here. So you'll be able to send an email out saying, here are the dates that I have available, or here's a new topic that I'm teaching on. Let me know if you're interested. It's a little easier to manage from here, especially if you're going through the process of creating all new content on a special topic that everyone is talking about. You build the framework, you build the blueprints for it, and then you're saying, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to teach this, or I'm ready to sell this to someone to teach. And so that's an opportunity as well. So your vault is actually can be monetized. I should have said that before. You can create a topic and the courses related to that topic and sell them within Magister as well.
Very cool. I don't see any more questions.
Okay. So I built this in I would say
having said that, sorry, there's another one from Mary Carroll. Can it help you track
Yes.
potential events? Yeah.
If you have, so I have dream events that I would like to go to. And I actually can put those events into the calendar. And so one of the things that you can do is the calendar, you can look at it in terms of like the horizon, the density, and the cadence. So one of the things that I do, just because I'm wired this way, I would add a seasonal intent, and I forgot to mention that as well. So there's a seasonal intent that you can add, and it'll be featured in here. So the current season, navigating the new, this is just when I was building the platform, and I was like, how am I going to use this? I can set priorities, set constraints, and I can also say in Q1, I want to do, Notebook LM automation, or I want to go present at Code for America. So like, these are things that I would put on the horizon here, but then I would also look at opportunities to grow and add opportunities either in appearance or try to get myself connected to someone within Nexus. Like if you build enough of an audience, you might be able to find someone connected to who you're trying to get in with. And so you can leverage that connection and say, hey, one of my dream events is this one, and I noticed that you work at that organization. Can we talk? But you'll only see that if it's in Nexus, and if you have that connection to, your the Unite, the social media community, part of it. So having all of those things there, and if you were to say in the AI Insights, because there's going to be a chat where you can say, I'd like to present at such an event, and this is the company that hosts it or the organization that hosts it. Do I have anyone in my connections associated with that? And the AI will search through the contacts and be able to pull that out from your list of people and say, hey, I found someone here. Why don't you reach out to them? And then I would love it for it to like put a campaign together so that if it says, oh, you have this content already developed, I'm going to connect the person to the content and send the email, So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But this is just like very cursory right now. And I developed this in about 10 days. So there's a lot more work to do and there's a lot more building to do. So I still have work to do. Now,
Very cool. No more questions.
No more questions. Okay, so let's get into, I'm going to stop sharing because I have to share another screen. I'm going to share with you how I built Magister. So I started with, I use two interchangeably. So I will say this, I am agnostic when it comes to anything vibe coding tool related. I don't have a favorite. I just have whatever credits I have available, I'm going to use. That's my strategy. I don't know if anyone else has that strategy, but it works. So let me see. Is this it? No, that's not it. That's not it. Maybe window. Yeah. Okay. So let me first, sorry guys, I have another folder open. And while we're waiting, do we have any questions or comments?
What was the name of your tab organizer again?
It's called Toby, Toby.
Thank you.
And I love it. I don't get any credit for selling it. I wish I did though, because I use it extensively and it's just so good at keeping me organized. Dev, here we go. And we're going to go into, here it is, Magister. All right. So I want to go into the share. Oops, that's not it. It's a window. There we go. Okay, so Magister started out as a very simple idea. I just wanted to have, I didn't think of it in terms of a calendar. What I wanted to have was a way to manage all of the components that are involved when you are running a business. And a lot of people use things like, let's see, what are the big platforms? My mind is blanking out. So the cloud one, what is the, I forget it, but there's so many of them. There's like, my mind is blanking out on the number of different platforms that people use to manage like their speaking engagements or other things or teaching. And so I was thinking about it and I thought, I don't know what's out there, but I do know that most of the CRMs that exist are very sales driven as opposed to relationship driven or community driven. So I wanted to kind of look at that and say, okay, I would like to have something that if I were a public speaker and I did a number of things, not just show up at an event and teach. I have, content that I develop, or I have a podcast that I want to appear on and things like that. How would I manage that? And how am I going to, leverage my knowledge so that I can actually build a sustainable business? And so that's kind of how Magister was born. And I want to see if I can find my incubator file. And as you can see, this has really grown quite a bit. Let me see if my artifacts are in here. So the way I started with Magister is basically I started in Windsurf, and I said I want to build an app that helps me connect all of the components of a speaking business in one place. And here are the things that I'm interested in doing. And so I started out first with ChatGPT and saying, if I were to do this, how would I even prompt how would I vibe code this? I don't even know what I'm doing. And that's kind of how it started, because I didn't really start vibe coding apps until after I developed the sticker app. So let me see if I can find my chat for ChatGPT, where I basically said, here's my idea, here's what I'm thinking. And it started out with, oh yeah, a lot. It's funny because I said, I want to do this and I want to have a plan for it because I don't want to waste credits. And so that's kind of my concern with how I started to approach the work. And then I started to prompt and say, hey, I really want to build this app and I want to have the ability to, number one, as I'm building, save credits so that I don't waste time building something, correcting it. And I spent a lot of that time saying to ChatGPT, well, I really want to, I don't know if you guys can see my ChatGPT screen yet, but nope.
Nope. Just
No.
seeing you, not your Explorer screen.
Yeah, I don't know how to switch it. It won't let me. So, but that's kind of how I started. Is I said, I want to start building this. And I wish I could see in this tree how you actually, is it in build? One of these has, oh my goodness. This is why vibe coding is so tricky, because like I didn't make any decisions on this folder strategy here. Oh, here it is, the governing model. Okay, so, oh, well, that's not very legible for us. Okay. Let's see if I can. Here we go. That's easier. And I don't know if it's actually showing you the PDF, so I'm going to stop presenting and then start again. And let's see. Here we go. Window. And yes, that's the one. Perfect. Okay, there are tabs here, so I just have to get used to that. Okay, so I created what's called a governing model. And basically I said to ChatGPT, I want to be able to create something that says, here's what I want. I want to be able to describe not just the software itself or the SaaS that I'm building. I want more than that. I want a governing model for this. And I wanted that to be clear because as I started to build, I wanted to prioritize the fact that communication and relationship building was key, because it really is to being a speaker. So the idea of like a salesy platform just didn't make sense for me. You know, sending out emails for leads and things like that, this didn't make sense for me. What meant more to me was relationship building. So I started with that, and I kept kind of pushing on ChatGPT, and that's how this document came to be. So I said Nexus is where the relationship system lives, or basically the backbone of Magister. And then I started to get into all of the different components and said, okay, the vault is the legitimacy. This is where each of the topics that a person will speak about will basically live and where they will be developed. Then there was the influence must be attributable. So if I'm growing my business, I need to be able to track that. I need to be able to say this worked or this didn't work, or this podcast led to 500 new people, you know, signing up for something or whatever. So that's what I started with, is like, I didn't start with, I have this idea and I think it'll be great. It was more like, I have this idea and I want to be very intentional about why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah, a couple of questions from Mary Carroll. So would you consider this a product requirements document? And did you create the governing document yourself, or did you dialogue with an LLM to create it?
I started dialoguing with ChatGPT, and I asked it to, so like the dialogue was more like, okay, I have a belief that Magister is also about relationship management, not in the CRM sense, but in the relationships lead to engagement. So I said, no, correct that. I'm not talking about relationships leading to engagement by like a TikTok video. I mean, I know this person. I went to an event and met them, that kind of thing. So the dialogue was like, basically ChatGPT would say, oh, do you mean this? And I would say, no, what I mean is physically in person, I know this individual and I met them. And so this is going to lead to something else, or this is a LinkedIn contact and they're going to fall into, my pipeline essentially because they know what I do and they like what I do, that kind of thing. So yeah, it took some time, a lot of back and forth. And so each component of the governing model was a wrestling match between me and ChatGPT, where I had to get it to understand, no, this is something that I really need you to understand, because as I get into the build, when the build is happening, I need this to make sense. And I don't want things that I don't need in there, because of course I don't want to waste credits building things I don't need. So that was the governing model. What I'm building and why I'm building it came first, and then all the other stuff came afterwards. So being able to name that, being able to understand where I was going, it typically doesn't work that way for a lot of people. I understand that sometimes you start to build and you're just like, I just want to make this cool thing. But I wanted to be intentional because I saw that there was a gap for this specific niche audience. So does that help? I'm feeling it. So it started with this. It started with this document where I was like, okay, I think I know where I want this to go. Let's go in this direction. And then let me just see if I have, let's see. I think it might be in here. Yep. So this helped me come up with the product documentation, like the executive summary. There's the governing laws that I said, like, this is what I really want you to prioritize. And yes, this was after going through that back and forth, wrestling match. That's when I came up with this. And then I said, okay, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. The life cycle was another component that I had to tell ChatGPT about, like, here's how I think this should work, and how I think that all of the different areas are going to interconnect. So that was a whole other thing, because of course I wanted AI insights to not think of each of these activities or each of these modules as separate modules. I needed them to see, or I needed the AI to see that these things are interconnected. And so anything that happens in one area affects the other area. And so I wanted that to be part of the life cycle in the actual app. So I described that here. Let's see, explicit refusals was another part of the thinking behind the development work. And basically, like, I don't want this to be just like, I just want to make money and that's it. That's not how Magister is designed to work. It's designed to be about building relationships, helping, others gain knowledge and really do transformational work. And yeah, along the way, you get to have some revenue. So it's good stuff. This is actually a markdown file that was created, I believe, from ChatGPT. So I think this came from ChatGPT, where I said I need a markdown file that that summarizes this conversation, and so that's where all this comes from. So this is all, before I even start getting into the super building part of it. So this is in January. When I say it took me like about 10 days, I started January 23rd, and I think the last time I started working on things or started doing some edits was February 1st. Go ahead.
Hey, I might have missed this, and I apologize if I did. The relationships that you have with the contacts that you're entering into your database, are those rated? Like, if somebody that you just met like on the street, or somebody all the way up to somebody that you've already contacted several times, or will it be intuitive when you add those things? Or
Well,
what?
when you let's go in there. I'll show you what it looks like. Here we go. If I create a new contact and I say, I'm going to say Lori Blair, and I'm just going to say, I'm just going to put the salon in here. That's good enough. Okay, so I can put company. I'm just going to say the salon. I'll say CEO, and I won't put a phone number. So the source can be next direct, where like you met this person directly at a speaking event, you were in a course, or this person is from a cohort that you have. You had a media appearance or a community contact. There are different ways to tag people. So if you met someone directly, I would just say direct, and then you can say notes like, I bumped into this person and they are interested in AI. And I would just add my contact. Now, when I create another activity, let's say, for example, I want to track some revenue. And Lori, you got me a speaking engagement. You were able to find someone and they said, oh, you got me into the She Leads AI conference, and they're gonna pay me, I don't know, $100, and they're gonna pay me yesterday, or today. I can add to this. I can associate a contact, so I can actually add you in here as a person who led me to this particular event. So as I look through, when AI Insights takes a look at this, and they'll say, oh, your relationship with Lori Blair really was nice. I think you should send a Christmas card, something along those lines. So yes, you'll be able to track that in Nexus. And you can have that, tagged for a number of different ways. And if it doesn't exist, you can certainly submit it as an idea. And so when you submit an idea and say, hey, I want to be able to track a person based on meeting them, I don't know, somewhere rare, like a grocery store, community, but not community, something like that, But yeah, you can do that too. Then as far as build goes, let me see where I left off here. And I know it's hard to show after the fact, like, oh, I did this thing and that thing. It's a little hard to do. But that's kind of how my the journey went. I just have this in mind. I wanted to work this specific way, as opposed to getting into the very technical details. I said, I just wanted to work this way. And then I got into the implementation plans for each of these. Now, these are the markdown files where these are just basically me saying in ChatGPT, here are the things that I would like to do. And then I said, create a markdown file for the implementation plan. And it did that. So yeah, this is all part of that. Like, here are the ideas that I know will need to be included when I do my speak module. Like, I want to be able to have the event, create an event, edit the event. I want to be able to say, I want to be able to add an item to anything related to logistics and so on. So everything in here is just me thinking through, how would I handle that in building the app? And I just said, these are the different things I think are going to be relevant when I'm building an event as a speaking event. So things like status filters, are we confirmed? Is this a pending potential, or is this an inquiry, and so on. And so I told ChatGPT, I need to be able to do these things, and so build me an implementation plan that includes these features. And that's exactly what it did. And then I took this implementation plan and I said to, in Windsurf, I say, hold on, let me go back to, I feel like I want to build so I can show you how it works. Right, so this is where the chat is. This looks very messy on screen and very intimidating, but I promise you, I just go like this and I just make this the bigger window. And I say, here are the things I want to do, you know. I do go through and do security checks every now and then. And so on this one in particular, there was a critical security issue that was fixed and what that was. But I basically have it where the ask anything here is where you just enter your prompt. You say, hey, this is the change I want to make. I can't remember where I left off here. Oh, yeah, the admin page. So I have a back end that I use to manage users. And so I had some issues with that. And I said, hey, you're not showing me the admin page. I don't know what's going on there. And so I chatted with it and I said, hey, this is what's going on. And it said, okay, I got it. And I fixed it. And so when I go into ask anything, this thing is blocking my view here. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you can see this at the very bottom of the screen. This is where I choose the model that I'm working with. And typically, I look for what has that little gift box next to it, because that means it's free or cheap. So that's kind of where I start. And so for this particular build, Claude Sonnet, when I was doing this, I don't know if it's still the case. It might still be. Oh, I have to update. So Claude Sonnet 4.5 was promo pricing for a limited time. So I always look for that little gift box before I start prompting. And I don't want to prompt because everything's working, so I don't want to mess with it now. So you can switch models here, and this is why I say I'm agnostic to the tools that I use. I also use Google Antigravity, and I use the exact same thing. It's built the same way. You can open up a folder. Let me just go here, and I can just open up this folder, and the same thing that I'm looking at in Google Antigravity, or I'm sorry, in Windsurf, I can see here. So Magister and all of the file structures, it's all here. And if I wanted to make changes from Google Antigravity in this project, I can do that. So in this one, I'll just use the example of, let's see, I'm going to code with agent. I want to hide this little window. There we go. Oops. Did that work? No.
It hid the little window, but it took you to your desktop. Your browser.
Okay, here we go. All right, so that was the wrong thing to do. Okay, so here I am in Magister, and I want to say in Google Antigravity as opposed to Windsurf, where I developed everything, or most of it. I'll say something like, can you give me a summary of all of the implemented features and the ones that are not implemented. And this is a very high use kind of question. I wouldn't necessarily do this, but because I'm not doing any big coding projects right now, I'll just do it, because otherwise use it or lose it, right? So I'm just going to ask the question, like, can you give me an example of what I have and haven't implemented? It's going to go through the entire code base. And you'll see that here. And there's a lot of complaining going on about how Antigravity has changed their credit usage and how much, you can use in one session. I couldn't tell you, honestly, like, what that really means in terms of like, well, am I going to be able to run this or not? People are complaining and saying they'll have a 2-3 hour session and they run out of tokens. And I have never had that experience in like such a short window of time, but I have had it where like I'm doing a whole day, I run out of stuff. And so I move from Antigravity. And because I have the same project open in Windsurf, I just keep going here. Of course, I make sure I'm in a safe state. So like any changes that I've made are committed. And then I go ahead and switch gears from one to another. Reggie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, so what you are doing, and you are doing awesome, because the reason you're not burning through credits, and when you show what you're doing in the ChatGPT process, it's called a one-shot prompt, meaning not the whole application, but you're doing it in increments.
Mhm.
And that is the biggest issue people have. People who burn through credits, they're doing typing like this, whereas they should be typing with their fingers. And that's what you're typing with your fingers. You're doing it in intervals. That's why you are doing so awesome.
Thank you. Well,
I'm a tech bro, but
Yes.
I'm a tech bro that pushed my self away from the tech bros because this kind of thing makes them scared
Mhm.
because they see this and it would normally take 3 months to do something like this. You did it in 10 days.
Yeah, it was about 10 days. I mean, of like actual work. And then bug fixing is a whole different issue. And I don't know if Sonia's here today, but Sonia and I talked about bug fixing because she's an engineer. And if she hasn't done it, she's got to do an LOL. I love her. So this is, so we'll go back to that. But yes, absolutely. I do carefully, as I approached the work, I knew that Windsurf had limits. And so I think I started to get very like aware of the whole, like my usage during my first iteration of like, okay, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm not doing. I ran out of credits so fast. I had to wait, I think it was like 2 weeks to be able to use Windsurf again until I found out here at the very bottom, the little gift box was sitting there and I had like maybe 45 credits left. And I was like, well, I'll switch to the gift box and see what that does. And it let me keep working on my project. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I can keep working. And then I heard about Google Antigravity and I was like, well, let me go over there and see what they have. And it was very generous. It was wonderful. And then now suddenly not so much. So I wish I could speak more to what those limits are and understand what those limits are, but I don't. And that's the beauty of vibe coding. Sometimes you don't have to, you just wait, and you might only need to wait 24 hours. Sometimes you'll wait a few days, but you'll still be able to do the work. And so let's see. So there are some things that I haven't fully implemented, and this is all correct. So there are some things that I have on my to-do list, but I don't know how many, let's see, how much it's spent doing that, but it was a good amount of work. And I didn't keep track of any of that. It just knows that that's the work I have to do still. So the ones that are not implemented yet, dynamic pulling from things so that I can send stuff to people. That's one of my ideas that I'm working on. Onboarding experience still has to be done. And so there's only a handful of people that have been able to log into Magister and use it because I have to develop an onboarding process. And it's hard to do. I mean, you guys saw all the modules and how long it took me to talk through that. So as you can see, there's a lot of work to be done. So yeah, this is the approach. The approach is you start with using ChatGPT first, because you have to be a little conscious of like, okay, this is going to cost me something. So not all vibe coding is free. If anybody wants to dive into costs and things like that, we can do that. But I think this is a good time to kind of pause and say, okay, what are we thinking? Do we want to head into a build, or do we want to talk more about the differences between Antigravity and Windsurf?
I think we had requests before for the bill. So what do you think?
Let's do the build. Okay, so I said I would do it.
Sorry, there was a question from Mary Carroll. Reg, but so does one-shot prompting relate to doing the labor-intensive back and forth with something free like an LLM and then running it in Windsurf once you're confident that you don't burn the credits?
Yeah, so that was the idea, that you want to do as much work as you can do. If you have ChatGPT, definitely do that in there. If you have Claude, also, you can also do it in Claude Code, and Claude Code will pre-build code for you. So that's another option that you have. You can actually say to Claude Code, hey, I don't want to use Claude Code, but I'm using Windsurf for whatever reason. You can have all these different limitations. But you can say that and say, I want you to write either code snippets, or I want you to write, components of this, but I want to be able to use this in either Antigravity or in Windsurf. Some people like Claude Code, some people don't. So this is just another tool. So if it doesn't matter, you can also build in Claude Code. So it's all relative. But in terms of getting to build, let's use Google Antigravity. And what I'll do is let's start with what I developed to kind of help us with that here. Whoopsie. Okay, there we go. Here we go, mini SaaS architect. So this is going to be available to you after the LOL. So this is the blueprint generator. So this is just a way to get started. This isn't the only way. So let's say I want to generate a blueprint, and I'll kind of start with a story on this. The other day I saw on Instagram someone advertising that they're a mother's helper. And I thought, what is a mother's helper? What kind of side gig is that? So it turns out a mother's helper is a person who comes in after the chaos of the morning. Mom goes to drop off the kids, and the mess that's left behind is outrageous. And so the mom hired someone to come in after she's gone, long gone, and so she's long gone, and she has maybe an hour before she gets back home, but she doesn't want to come back to that mess. And so there's a person who comes in, cleans up, just tidies a little bit, loads the dishwasher, puts things where they belong, tidies the floor up or whatever, like there's just certain things that they'll do. And this isn't like an all-day cleaning service or anything like that. So we're going to build software for the woman who is the mother's helper. So here's the app idea. I am a mother's helper, and I have clients that have me come over to clean up after the chaos of morning school run. Oops. Target audience is, I'm just going to say mother's helper. I'll just do that. The problem I'm solving is I have more than one client, and I would like to manage them on an app on my phone. Okay, so the monetization, let's see. Oh, actually, you know what? You're building this for the mother's helper. So you're going to say, well, let's just do, how do you guys want to set up the pricing? Do you want this to be a freemium where after a week you hit a paywall, or do you want to do a one-time purchase or tiered pricing? What do you guys think? Let's do hearts for tiered pricing, thumbs up for freemium. We're kind of even.
About $1 a minute. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
So you guys want to do, well, let's go with freemium. Are we doing freemium, or was the hearts freemium, or was the hearts tiered pricing?
Premium.
Okay, premium. Okay. The option, we're just going to say, we're going to just say we're ready to build. Okay. Now, I made this during the Lovable International Women's Day promo thing. So let's see. I found a niche for a service called Mother's Helper. Okay. The clients have come over to clean up after the chaos of, okay, so target audience is a mother's helper. Yeah, that's the right phrasing. This is the right positioning. So problem solving is going to be mother's helpers with more than one client. Oops. Client need to keep their calendar organized. Okay, so we'll do the freemium, ready to build. And then we need simple enough for, yeah, let's do a simple app. just to get the mother's helper started. Yeah. And then we're just going to generate a blueprint. We're going to take this blueprint and we're going to use it. But before we do that, as this thing is working, we're going to go back over to my resources and we're going to go to Antigravity Commander. And actually, I should have named this something else because honestly, you can use this with anything. But we're going to create some rules for the vibe coding platform to use as you work with it so that you can try to like maximize your credit usage. So I'm going to say that we're going to build a production app. We're ready to go. So this is just like, I'm going to select these options and then this is going to create my protocol for my vibe coder. So I'm going to pick production app and then how much can the agent change? I'm going to say, I'm just going to say only what I ask for now, because this is just assuming that, you know, this can assume that you're making changes or you're working on a new project. How big can each change be? We're going to say large with approval just because we're just getting started. We're going to set boundaries. We're not going to worry too much about this right now, but basically what we're saying is when you're coding, I don't want you to touch the config files, the authorization files, any infrastructure files or .env files. And you can add to this list as you need to. And then we have, let's see, where was I? Did it not? There we go. Okay. Can the agent change your database? I would say for now, change freely because we're just building. And then how should decisions be made? And this is an important question. I feel like I should have made this a different color. You can have the agent decide for you. You can have it suggest to you and then ask the question like, what do you want to change? How do you want to change it? Or you want it to always ask. And I'll be honest with you, always asking is very exhausting. I don't know if we want to do that right now, so we're just going to do suggest and ask. And then as far as what commands the agent can run, I'm always the ask before running kind of person because sometimes that's exactly what I need. Then let's see, we're going to go into when things break, I want to try one fix. And if it doesn't work, you know, you'll see how it works, but we're just basically going to let it try to fix it once. And then I'm going to customize some of the behavior and I'm going to say, don't touch what works. That's a big one. I don't know if anyone has a problem with that when you're vibe coding. But for now, I wanted to say, don't touch what works. And then as far as how creative the agent can be, I can say, I'm comfortable with trying new approaches just because sometimes it's actually really good. Should the agent write tests? For now, I'm going to say suggest tests, but it's not going to be important because we're just doing the first build. And then we're going to check back and see, did it work? There it is. There's the blueprint. Okay, so the blueprint is done cooking. So we're going to finish up the constraints and then we'll come back and use that. Okay. How detailed should the responses be? I'm not big on big explanations, so I'm just going to go with brief. What should be logged? I'm going to go with everything on here for now, and I'll show you kind of the impact for that. And then there's a lot of other decisions in here, and you can set these all here. But when you're ready, I'm just going to go past these. Let's see, always check for dependencies. Review docs before coding. What should the doc review include? And extract unresolved. Yep. Okay, so basically these are all of the decisions that I care about before I start vibe coding, and this is where I'm kind of setting them. So now that I know that, I'm going to copy this master prompt, and this isn't to create the app. This is just telling how I want the vibe coder to behave. And so I'm going to go into Antigravity, and I'm going to close this folder. And I'm going to, let's see, I want to create a new folder. So let me just put this up. New folder, I'm going to say mother's helper. And let me just put it in the right place. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to put it in there and I'll say, I'm in anti-gravity now. I'm going to start coding and I'm going to say, I am starting a new project. Here is how I want us to work together. And I'm just going to paste everything that just came up with in here. And I'm just going to hit the send button and it's going to think about it. And it's going to say, okay, I got you. Here's how I know I'm going to do this work. And okay, it looks like it's done thinking about it. Excellent. Now I'm going to go back to the browser and I'm going to take my blueprint and I'm going to say, okay, let's take a look and make sure this works. Yeah, okay. So let's just first look at what it came up with. So here's a project summary. It named it for me. It called it Helper Hub. Ideal users, solo mothers helpers, new entrants. Okay, core problem, morning chaos service, perfect, top pain points. I'm not reading too much because I don't know. We're an hour into this, so I want to speed this along. Okay, so it's got some features. It's got the weekly grid, family cheat sheets, check in and out, auto invoicing. This is fantastic. I didn't sit there and tell it all these things. It just came up with it because when I created the app, I said, I want you to think of all the things that would be helpful when someone creates this idea or tells you about an idea. The key screens, basic data model, monetization model. This is perfect. 30-day MVP roadmap. So this is just saying, what should you be doing days 1 through 7, 8 through 14, 15 to 21 as you're building your app. So I like all of this. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can either copy this or you can download the whole thing. So what I want to do is actually download it because I want to say mother's helper, and I'm just going to call it a PRD. And then I'm going to go over to Antigravity and say, I'm going to add this file. Let's see. I don't know why it's not there. There used to be a file in here, but that's not a problem. I'm just going to copy it. And go back here. And I'm just going to paste it into the little box. But before I do that, I'm just going to check the model. So a lot of people have a lot to say about models and model usage. I personally like Claude, Sonnet, and Opus. They're both thinking models. But I also like Gemini 3.1 High. So I'm just going to go with that for now and just see how it goes. Let's see. This is all of the items that were in that spec. So everything is in here and I'm just going to hit enter and off it goes. So it's thinking about it. Next step. So please review the unresolved decisions above. Would you like to proceed with the Next.js Superbase tech stack? And so let's see, the unresolved decision application. Let's do, let's go with progressive web app. For that. And then actually I'm going to number these just because it makes things easier. For 2, I want to go with authentication method is going to be, let's go with Google SSO. For 3, database and backend, I'm going to go with, we're going to go, what is the preferred backend structure for managing the relational data user family shifts? Yes, we want, actually, we want family and we want, no, users and then family. So basically, every family is its own client. Or actually, we can just say we want each family to be a client with their characteristics. And I cannot spell today. So we're just going to move on. 4, geolocation. We are going to be using, for geolocation, we're going to go honor system because that's overbuilding. And then 5 for offline capabilities. Yes, we want cheat sheets available offline. And cheat sheets are basically like, here's what the family needs, how they want things handled. And then for number 6, SMS implementation, we are going to leave SMS for later because I don't know if you guys have ever used SMS in any of your apps, but working with Twilio is no picnic. So we're going to go with that. So it did present like, okay, here are the decisions that I need to, make, and here are the recommendations. So it's just a matter of going through and picking those. But I think on this one, I was supposed to say Superbase. Forgot about that. Either way, it'll take it, it'll run through it, and it'll start asking more questions if it needs to. And it looks like active phase. Let's see, implementation plan detailing the tech stack, PWA, and the initial commands to generate blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say proceed. And yep, implement data schema, build. So now it's saying, I need you to run. I'm going to be using Next.js, so I need you to run this command. If you're not familiar with doing this, this is why vibe coding can be a little intimidating sometimes, because there are people who will ask the IDE to create the prompt and then you go ahead and run it in terminal. I don't like that, and so that's why I asked, I want you to prompt me to run it, and I'll click run, as opposed to me going into terminal and starting things off that way. So it's going to go through and start generating, and I can't wait to see what it comes up with. I have no idea what it'll look like, but we'll get there. Let's see. It says connect. Oh, it needs to create it. Yes, I want to create. Let's do that. And now it's doing a little bit more work. It is making some decisions for me. And it's actually thinking, and there we go. So running Next.js initialization, command in the helper hub directory. Yep, I need that to exist. So in order to get those files to exist in that directory. And it's generating, thinking. So we went from having a prompt that we made in my Lovable app, having the instructions that we gave to Antigravity and how to run this, or how to behave when we're programming together. And so those instructions have kind of led us to, okay, I'm going to start doing this work, and it's running along really well. I haven't seen anything break yet, so this is good. Granted, I haven't seen anything either, so I don't know what it's going to look like. But I'm following the same method that I did for Magister, and saying, I want to be able to do this work, and this is how I want it to perform, as opposed to, I want an app that has this button or that button. Let's see. So now the run the command is, can I install Superbase? Yes, absolutely. I need that for the database. And
I think that seeing what it comes up with is like half of the surprise. It's like you have something like in your mind, how you think it's going to look, and it comes out with something totally different. And you're, oh, I like that.
mm-hmm. All right. So it's got some severity vulnerabilities here. We'll look at that later, but I know I can keep an eye on it, because anything that shows up in red, I come back to later and I say, what was that about? Can you talk to me about it and tell me what to do about it? And usually the recommendations are pretty good. And when I don't have a solution that comes from within the IDE, I will ask ChatGPT or Gemini to help me with that. And more often than not, it it works within the first couple of questions. So it's not an extensive process. It's not as frustrating as like, oh, you broke this, now I have to fix it. And now, you know, I've been through that, and I did that with Magister a little bit. So that's why I learned the don't break what's already working rule. Okay, so now we are going to run build. Let's do it. So there's a worker error. No, that's not right. It doesn't feel all that different from working with Lovable, other than the fact that you're just flying blind right now. Because by now, Lovable would show you something it came up with. Okay, so we're going to run this again. Right. So this all looks very like, wow, this is very techy. I'm not doing anything. It's doing it for me. Just wanted to point that out.
I also like that I'm not the only person who hasn't clicked the restart to update button in the top right yet.
Oh yeah, no, right now I'm not ready for any chaos. So I'll just, okay, so I'm gonna hit accept all, and let's see. The project initialization is complete. The template is here. Create a new project on Superbase, credentials. I'm gonna ask it, can you show me a preview of the app? So would you like to build out the static front end? Yes. Yes, please. A lot of times, if you haven't done this before, if you haven't done any, like, show me an example of what this looks like, it will say you'll need to install this first, and now you'll need to install this other thing and this other thing, just to be able to see a preview. But because I've done this with other apps, it'll actually just say, oh, I see it, it exists, I'm just going to use that component. I don't actually see it thinking through it, but I have seen that before where it will say you've already got, you know, this thing or the other. So I'm going to hit run on that, Next.js. And okay, now I want to do some pulse checks. How is everybody? Doing good. Okay, so let's go to the local host. It says it's going to be in my browser. Here we go. Morning chaos handled. We have an app. We have several families. We can tap to check in and swipe to check out. They want loading dishwasher, folding laundry, clean the counters. Let's see what else we can do in here. Can I click? Can I go? What's going on here? Oh, so I can't change anything on the fly. So we need to change that, right? School pickup prep, organized playroom. Okay, so every family in here has something that they can do. Now, when I created this app, I told it I want it to do basically so that this web app is actually how you install it on your phone. So you don't necessarily have to have it in the App Store. You can just add it, install it from, you know, add it to your, what do you call that? Your home screen from just being on this website. So now let's make it so that I would like to be able to add tasks if asked by mom on the way out. And let's just see what it says. So now I've moved away from using the Lovable app to say, hey, here's what I want you to build, to just chatting with it like I do with ChatGPT or Lovable. And it should think about it for a little bit, because remember, I wanted to make sure that it goes back to the instructions and it realizes, I don't want you to change anything that works. I want you to keep things functioning as they are. So let's see what it does with that set of instructions now. It's thinking a lot.
Do you ever ask, and I know like I do sometimes, like, can you think of anything I've missed? And then you find like all these extra things you can add on that like cause you to go into app mode kind of thing.
Yeah. I have asked, like, can you give me some ideas on things that, some missed opportunities for what I'm looking at, like I'll ask that question. So let's see. Can I tap to check in? Add a task. There it is. I want to clean my closet. So there we have it. Now I can add tasks to the person. Once I click to check in, I can add a task. Now I can't move this over to my phone, but you get the idea. It'll look, let me see if I can, it'll probably look like that on the phone. Okay, so now what if I want to add a new family? How do I do that? Well, I need the ability to do that. So give me the ability to add a new family. I just met one on the way out from the Williams. Okay, so let's see, to answer your question. So I have the Google, I can't remember which one it is, if it's Pro or Plus. I don't know which one is which, but I think it's like $20 a month. And that is just that membership alone, or just having that by itself, allows me to use Antigravity up to a certain amount. I don't know what the free amount will allow you to do, but I have heard that it's pretty generous, although now that story is changing. So I know that having different LLMs can really add up, especially if you have Gemini and you have ChatGPT, and there's so many of them. But I have found that this just comes in handy. But the Windsurf one, Windsurf has, and I can give you all a link for Windsurf. Let me see if I can find the information on that. Let's see, did it do it? Can I add a family? Oh, add a new client. There it is. So mind you, I haven't broken anything that exists as I'm adding features. So I love that. So we're just going to add, we're going to add Mr. IT here, and we're going to say 8 a.m. because, he's a busy guy. And then we're going to just do 123 Main Street, and we're going to save the client. There we go. So now we have new clients. So now this person will be able to add clients, add tasks. Is there any other feature you think we should add to this?
I got one. So if you added him at the same time that you added another client, it might not be every day, right? So someone might just want Mondays and Wednesdays, and someone might want Tuesdays, Thursdays, someone might want all like every day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in there already, or does it just assume this is every day?
I think this assumes this is every day. So I think what we should do, though, is say we need to be able to specify days of week I am expected to show up. Anything else? Because I can add multiple things at once.
How about the preferred method of communication with the client?
Yes, I also need to add the preferred method of communication. What else do we have? Also, I would like to know ahead of time if they have any escape artist pets. Okay. Directions to go between homes. That's a good one. Let's add that to the next iteration, but that's getting really fancy and we're doing a very basic app. So we even took out the SMS component for the sake of just building something right now. But yes, that is an excellent idea. So the way I would use this is then once I have my app fully built, I can decide I want to host this somewhere. While this is cooking, I'm going to go move into that because I'm looking at time right now. And I would like to be able to talk about hosting an app. So as you saw, Magister's hosted online. It's its own platform. Let me go to, I use Vercel. And I'm trying to use not go into that. Honestly. So Vercel is an online, I wish I could just, can I sign out or no? Yeah, let's log out and see what that looks like. Okay, so Vercel is very generous, or at least I have found it to be very generous. I've been working with Magister for 2.5 months, and I've yet to hit a paywall yet. So there's a lot included for in Vercel to put your app on here. So the way it works is once your app is fully built and you're ready to deploy it, you can say, okay, I'm going to take the entire code base and I'm going to put it on Vercel. And the way to do that is with a GitHub integration. That sounds very intimidating, but it's actually a pretty easy thing to do because I tell Antigravity, hey, I want to get this on, let's see, I'm going to accept all here so we can just see what happened there. And then we'll stop building and start looking at deployment, okay? Let's go back to the browser. Not that one, the other one. Nope. All right, I guess I don't have a browser window to look at. Is it here or here? Let's see. Here it is, Helper Hub. Are we seeing Helper Hub? Okay, here we go. So we have nothing broken yet. We still have an app that works, no error messages. We lost Mr. IT in the client list, but that's because it didn't save into the database. So that makes sense. But we now have like an escape risk here. We have WhatsApp, we have phone calls, we have SMS here. So yeah, this is doing exactly what I needed to do. I still haven't figured out what this little button up here is doing up at the top right. But it's there.
And it didn't specify days yet either.
I think you might have to do that in here, but let's see if I have to. Can I do it? Where is it? I did have another screen I could check into, right? And then now it's gone. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Gives me the times. It's still assuming it didn't make the change. So that was too much for it to handle. So let's close Windsurf out of the way here. And then let's go with, okay. I don't see the option to set the day of the week, day or days of the week. make the arrow button on each client the one that allows me to customize each client family. Okay, and once it finishes this and we just double check it, I will move into looking at using GitHub to get it out to Vercel. So we'll actually deploy this to Vercel. I'm sure it'll let me. I don't think it has a number of project limits, so we'll see. Okay. It's working. Now, this is the first time I have this low level of frustration with vibe coding. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but this is the first time it's been this easy. So I think it has something to do with using the instructions that I came up with for during that in that Lovable app. But I've had frustrating experiences, and I won't go into the things that I've yelled at my vibe coder, but this is actually pretty good. This is much better than I expected. So it's updated now. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go back to the browser and we're going to take a look at that. Did I go up here? Did it? Nope. Oh, I closed the window, I guess. That's easy. I'm just going to do copy that. Just going to go back here and paste it. There it goes. Okay, so we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then let's see if I can edit. I can. I like this. I'm going to add Saturday. I'm going to add every day here. And we have an escape risk. Okay, we're good. What I don't have is a button to save. I feel like I need a button to save. I don't know about you guys, but I need a button to save. To save settings for each family. And I think after that, we'll call it done for sure. So any questions so far? I know, it's just so exciting.
It makes me want to go out and start a new job as a, what do you call it, mother's helper.
Right?
Just so I can use the app.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because there are people who really enjoy doing this. I didn't know. And then I you know, once you see one video and you like it, you see all the rest. Different mothers helpers do different things. So why does this matter, right? So like I'm 100% positive there isn't a mother's helper app out there. So if you have if you start putting out content saying, if you're a mother's helper and you need an app to manage that, there's an app for that. And I made it, here you go. That is where you kind of like start to tap in on these trends and just start looking at what's out there. What are people doing? What are they experiencing? And how can I fit myself into that niche of needs? It takes a lot of, I guess, curiosity to kind of seek those out, but there are people really getting into the service industries. And so I think it's worth looking at. I think the app, the platforms that were like managing the gig workers, they're starting to dissipate. Those things are losing momentum. And part of it is because they're such hogs, and the person who's actually doing the work ends up with so little money. And so they're going to want to, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to sign up on TaskRabbit, instead of doing that, they'll just say, I'm doing this on my own. I'm building relationships with families on my own. I'm going to offer my services and get paid directly. This is exactly what people are. I think this is where the move is going. People are going to stop being Fiverr people, and they're going to start being, I'm on my own. So now we're going to say, I am ready to deploy this to Vercel. Can you connect this to my Git and get it out there? as a project. Now, this is assuming you've gone to Vercel, you've created an account, and all you do is create the account, sign up, and then you say, okay, I have a project I want to create. So let's see if we can do that very quickly. So I'm going to log back in. And I'm going to say, I'm going to add a new project. And what's it called? Helper Hub? Helper Hub. Yep, that's what it's called. Okay, so I have my Git already connected to this. So my repo name is in here. It already knows about Magister. So I'm just going to go out to my GitHub. Oh, wait, I have it installed. So let's do that. There it is. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna bring, can you guys see my Git? I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can grab my mic in time. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new repository and I'm gonna call it Helper Hub. And I'm just gonna say Mother's Helper application. I usually don't set these. I leave it alone. And people say, "Oh, you want to use the README?" I haven't done it. I do what I want, so don't follow what I do. Go with best practice.
README. If like you're going to share it with someone, you might need a README, but if it's just for you, I don't even bother.
Exactly right. So it's okay. So in here, I created it here. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to go back to here and say, okay, this is my URL. Oh, let me go back to grab the URL. And let's see, I think I have to publish it first. Yep. Keep this code private. I have a default checked, so I don't like to make mine public. So now that that's published, I can say, yep, it's published. I'm going to say, where is my, wait, let me go back here. It should just be, nope, I want, let's say it's going to be Helper Hub, I believe. Nope. Okay, hold on. I have to get the link. Where am I not seeing that? Okay, here. So, here. Copy this, and I'm going to go back to, oops. Go back to here and say, here's the link to the repo I created. Oops. And then I'm going to go back to Vercel. I can see why this is. Nope, not it. Here. Okay, there it is. All right, let's see what we need to do. Permissions are, hold on, let's see. See, here's the link. It's waiting. Okay, so it's saying deploying to GitHub. So it's going to put all the files that we've created for this app and it's going to commit them to the Git repository. Failed to push. Why? Remote contains work that you do not have locally. This is usually caused by another repo pushing it to the same. Okay, so let's try again. There we go. So first I created the app within Antigravity. Then I told GitHub, I have a project. It sits here. Here's where I want you to put it. So now it's saying I fully committed Helper Hub to the code base and it's in your Git now. So now, since the Vercel requires access to your GitHub, go to Vercel, import new. It'll automatically detect that it's a Next.js app and just run deploy. Okay, so we're going to follow these instructions that it just gave me. This is the really nice thing about working with these vibe coders is it'll tell you exactly what to do. And then, yeah. Yes, I didn't break it. Yeah, you can't break it. Well, you can, but in this instance, I did not. So we're going to go ahead and try again. It says I don't have access, but I did give it access. So maybe I just need to search for it or configure it again. Oh, continue. All right. Nope. There it goes. Okay. So now Vercel permissions. Here we go. We're going to go to Helper Hub. So we now have 2. I'm going to hit save. It looks like it only wants to do one repo at a time. So I need to know, before we do that, new project, Helper Hub. I'm going to just hit import. Yep, it knows it's Next.js. And let's see what happens if I hit deploy. It might tell me you're not doing something right, but let's just see what happens. And I'm just going to make sure my app is still there because I got a little nervous. It's still there. Okay. Whew. I did not break it today. All right. We're good, people. We're good. So this is us moving from Antigravity, pushing everything into your Git repository. From Git, you push it to Vercel. So Vercel is free as long as you're in the hobby tier. GitHub is free also. Google Antigravity, yes, it can be free, but then if you have the what do you call it? The membership to like have the $20 a month one, it includes Gemini and Antigravity and all the other Google tools that are super cool. So now let's go see if Helper Hub. No, let's wait. Congratulations, it's there. Okay. Let's go to the dashboard and see what it looks like. I'm just so curious. No, there it is. So because I don't have a domain for it, it just puts helperhub.vercel.app. So it's essentially kind of like building Lovable app. And what we saw is what we got. So if I didn't customize anything, of course, it's going to look like this. But of course, if I go through and say, okay, now that we're out of the development phase, I want to go ahead and move into developing the onboarding and developing everything else. So this is just one of the pages, essentially. But yeah, technically, we have an app on Vercel.
And it didn't take 3 months.
It didn't take 3 months. It's right here. Yes, we can do a lot more work. And once it's out here, the other thing I wanted to show you once this is deployed is you can do your updates and changes in Antigravity. And just push them out right from here. So let's say I want to create a welcome screen for each user. Every user will have to sign in, but for now, let's just simulate Jane Doe signing in. And then we want the second screen should be a welcome and activities for the days. I don't know if you guys can see the little thing at the bottom, but that's where. Okay, so now we're going to make changes. It's going to make them locally first. We're going to preview them. And after we preview them, we're going to push them out to GitHub. And it sounds like a lot, but really we're just going to tell it, now put this into the GitHub repo. That's it. We're just going to say update it. And then when you do that, because we connected the GitHub repo, the starting end with Antigravity, and then the end of the interface is saying basically the Vercel part. When Antigravity updates GitHub, GitHub will update Vercel. And so we don't have to do anything else other than just saying, commit this to the repository. Let's see, building the mockup. Yep, I want you to do that. We still haven't had anything break. We had a fail where it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but it didn't, there we go. And now we have that. Perfect. So 3 shifts today. Wonderful. Okay. Has a date. Let's see if we can, now that it made it, I'm happy with that login screen. So I'm going to say, commit this to the repo. So we saw it on the browser. And Mary Carol, you're so funny. But this is like the next step. This is like when you build the app, and then this is you taking control of what you're building and saying, I'm going to go ahead and build it, and then I'm going to deploy it, and I'm just going to have people be able to use it. And now it's saying, I'm going to run this command. It's going to commit this. And the nice thing about working with Antigravity is every commit has a message of what it did. And it's really nice because you don't have to sit there and type out, oh, I did this, this, and that, It just does it for you. And so now when I switch back over to, okay, this is the local. I'm going to ignore the local for now. I'm just going to close it so I don't get confused. And I'm going to helper hub, that Vercel app. And then let's just see. It takes a minute to update. So let's just see what happened here. I'm going to open up Git. And did it do it? I should have done it already. Okay, done the new blah, blah, blah. Okay, did you commit so I can see the changes in Vercel? Okay, so now, yep, it takes about a minute or two. Let's go back to the browser. We are in Vercel. I'm just going to refresh a couple of times. It does have Jane Doe here, so let me see if I can. Doesn't take me to the login. So, but it has Jane Doe, so it did something. I just don't know what it did. So I can say I don't see the login. Okay, we're coming up on 4:49. After this prompt, I'll stop and then I'll show you guys the sticker app and how I did that. And it'll be quick because it's not okay. We haven't wired up the database authentication yet, so blah blah blah. Right now it's doing that. See that, blah blah blah. No, I only want it to simulate. No need to connect right now. There is the process of getting people to authenticate with using like Google. I think that's an LOL all in itself. And it took me so long to get that to work. And if I had to say the biggest headache for building Magister, it was actually just getting it the authentication with Google to work. So that's my only authentication method right now. Oh, that's a good question. Would somebody buy it from Vercel? They would actually, so you would sell access to that link. And you can also monetize your app on Vercel. So there are two different ways to do that. I know I didn't leave a ton of time to cover that, but I think monetization strategy is, there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to do that. But if we need to do a follow-up LOL on monetizing, I can certainly do that. I don't mind. Understood. We're going to do that. Okay, so now commit the changes quickly. I'm doing an LOL here. I got to hurry up. So now it's doing that. Okay, so yes, run that. It's just saying like, what's the status? Your branch is up to date or did made. Okay, so it's saying it's done. So we will check to see if that is true. It is. Hey, we have pseudo authentication. Voila. So we're good. That's the app. So I know it wasn't like the cleanest way, but we got there. So I'm going to close this out and then I'll walk you guys quickly through. Let's see. Let's go to, okay. We are going to go to the App Store. Here is my app. It's called Cookie Cuties and it's a sticker app. So when you're typing, and this is only for iPhones. Sorry, people. Sorry if you're Android. But this is it. When you search on the store, it'll look like this. It's 99 cents. So the way I built this app was with Gemini. So let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so very quickly, when I built Cookie Cuties, Nano Banana had been out already for some time. And I worked with ChatGPT to come up with a style that I liked for like, images. And so here it is. I wanted to have this particular style. It's a lot to cover here, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I said, here's how I'm going to do the images, and then it created the image for me. And then I went through one by one and downloaded each image that it created. And I went through the process and said, okay, the images should be this way and that way. I need transparent backgrounds, etc. So that was all part of the prompts. And so if you don't know, cookies are native to Puerto Rico and they make the little sound cookie. And so there are tons of videos on TikTok on what a cookie is and all the sounds they make. But so a little bit of Christmas theme because I did this right over the holidays. That is a pina colada, which Puerto Rico is credited for inventing. So I'm pretty proud of that. It's one of my favorite drinks, just saying. And then some of the food items. So I went through and I created all the images. And then after creating all of the images, I went through the process of standardizing them. So what they don't tell you is just because it's saying it's a transparent background doesn't mean it is. So like if I uploaded the image and you got that gray checkerboard, you would not be happy. So I had to go through the process of going through and uploading everything to Canva. After uploading everything to Canva, let me see if I can find it. I created basically a slide project. And a presentation, and I made the dimensions of it. I'm trying to find the actual project itself. Let me see if I can do that. Give me 1 second here. So as I went through and tried to standardize all of the images, one thing I noticed is that as I'm bringing them into Canva, they're all different sizes. And so I had to go through the process of taking each of these images, editing it, and then downloading it as a PNG with a transparent background. Won't get too much into those details, but eventually what I ended up with was a ton of files where I could upload them into Xcode. And I don't know if you're familiar with Xcode, but I will try to show that to you now. So here's Xcode, and that it's one of the Apple developer tools. And so what I did was, this is not a very intuitive interface. I will say that first of all. But when I created the new project, I basically said, this is a new project, and then, kind of move through some of these prompts, but they're not really prompts. It was just bizarre. But eventually what you end up doing is you saying, here are my assets. These are the stickers that I plan to use in the app. And so these are all the stickers that I created. And then once I had them all standardized, transparent background, all the same size, then I said, okay, now that I have these all in here, now I can go through and deploy them out to the App Store. That process on its own is a very, very long process. I failed, I believe, twice on mine. One, because I needed to have certain images uploaded to the App Store. Let me see if I can show that to you so I can, let's see. Yes. So when you create an app developer account, you pay $100, and that $100 allows you to create as many apps as you want. It is an annual fee, unfortunately. It's $100 is a lot, but if you're making money from the app, kind of pays for itself eventually. But when you create an app, after you've put everything into Xcode and said, okay, here's the app, here are all the specifications, here are all of the images that I'm going to use, you package that up, and there's a process for that as well. And then you upload that to this platform here, which is their Apple developer platform. You upload your file, you tell them all the information about your app. There are so many screens, and some of these do not have a logical flow from one step to another, but eventually you power through. And the best helper for this process was actually Gemini. So Gemini and I got really close when I was going through this. There was so much confusion about the actual images that you have to upload. The app review, oh yeah, here it is. Here's my first fail was December 22nd. And then I finally got approved on December 24th, so Christmas Eve. Let's see. There is product page. There is you have to upload screenshots for your app. And so because it's a sticker app, there's not really screenshots that you can do. So I had to create these, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I had to go out to the App Store and kind of look at what other apps were doing for their stickers. And that's essentially what I did. And then I created those. If you have a certain, if you're creating for a phone, but you also, it's iPad ready, you also have to create separate images for the iPad. And so then I had to figure that out. I got rejected. This was the reason I got rejected, is because I didn't have these. So I just had to put the same effort into it and just say, okay, I'm just going to put this in there. I don't know what else to do. So I just used Canva to create the next set of images, and that was it. Then they approved me, and to my surprise, it went online on Christmas, I think a couple days after Christmas. So that is how publishing an app sticker app to the App Store works. And that's all I have for you.
That's amazing. There's so much information there.
It's a long one. So it's 5 o'clock. We got there.
We got it in 2 hours. It's like, I honestly think we should make these 2 hours long because we always go over.
So I will share all of these resources. I didn't get to mention that Neon is my backend database for my projects. Some people use Supabase, Airtable. It doesn't matter. It's just a database. Pick one, go with it. Authentication with Firebase. I recommend keeping track of your work in Notebook LM. So as you're building an app, just write yourself notes on here's what I'm doing, here's why I'm doing it. The documents that you come up with, you want to take everything that you use, all of your arguments with ChatGPT about what you're trying to do, put them in Notebook LM. If you use the other one, the Lovable app that I created, that blueprint generator, if you use that, take all the output from that, put that in Notebook LM. So everything you do, your whole process, just throw it into Notebook LM. Don't worry about organizing it or doing anything special. And then you're able to build your story about how you built your app. And the reason I say that is because I had to put this together today and I didn't have it. So if I would have had a notebook, I would have been able to do that a lot easier. So just saying, document your journey in Notebook LM, and I'll share these resources in the salon.
I don't know what difference it would make, but like I always end all my conversations with ChatGPT or whatever LLM when I'm working on a project by saying, "Can you turn this into an SOP?" And then I save those SOPs so it's a standard operating procedure, if you know what an SOP is, and then I keep those in Notion. So I have like a whole library of SOPs.
Yeah, and I actually take my ChatGPT conversations and download them to Obsidian, or download them. Occasionally I'll go through and like archive them and download.
Yeah.
Please do that, people. You want to do that. Even if you do it several times a year, sometimes you'll need a snapshot, because if you're like me, you'll need to delete stuff. So yeah, keep track of your work. You'll be able to generate SOPs, methodologies, and things like that.
Moji.
Just really quick question. I think DL put this in the chat. Is the process similar to Android? Creating apps?
I don't know. So I have not created an Android developer account yet. I haven't had time. I've got a ton of work, so I have to pick my battles. But I am working on another sticker app, but it's also for the App Store.
But a developer account, I think, would be a good first step.
I think having a developer account is absolutely a good first step, but if you're going to invest in creating a developer account, I recommend having your app either like you have it already thought of, and if you have budget constraints that are kind of tight, then I would say validate your app idea and see how many people from your friend group, from your the AI salon, or from wherever say, "Oh, I would pay $20 for that." And before you know it, you've recovered your costs.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just typing. I think I've heard that it's easier to get your apps into the Google, whatever the store is, than it is to get them into the iPhone stores.
Yeah,
that's probably true. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
No, I was gonna say.
Can I ask a question?
I'm sorry.
Both of Noemi and Vicky, is when I am making either my Android or Apple app, I've heard conflicting stories about what the code should be, like in what format, because every vibe coder or even Google AI Studio, they write in different versions of things, like React and whatever it is.
They do. So Swift is like the file type that I when I was first developing apps, I actually had an app as opposed to just stickers that I was going to do. I had an app that you like interact with, and there's a community in there. And I was told to use Swift when I was working with anything having to do with the Apple App Store.
Is Swift a language? Like it is?
Yeah, I think, I guess so. And to me, it was just like, I considered it Xcode, and I wasn't familiar with what anybody was talking about. And then when I opened up Xcode and I said, I have a new project, it asked me, are you using Swift, or is it are the file type Swift? And I said, I guess yes. And that's kind of how I learned what that was. So I did a lot of going back and forth between YouTube and ChatGPT to figure out, oh, I see. So yeah, I have to use, it looks like a little bird, a little orange bird when you have like an iPhone app. Yeah. And then the other ones for like Android and web based are the ones I've seen are Next.js or other React. So I've seen a mix of those. And then, for example, the one that we did today, that one is just you sell access to it so that people could still have it on their phone. It's just kind of web-based. So you bypass the stores and you just basically sell it directly, which there are a lot of benefits to that because you're just pocketing that money as opposed to the platform only giving you 70% of it.
And who is that does that? Because right now, the only way that I could sell it, because Vicky, I'm gonna do the one that I made for the hackathon that we did, the ultra processed food thing. So I just want to know, like, because if my brain's not working. Sorry, if I bypass that, aren't I just giving them a link to my app at that point? Then all they can really do is just save it as an icon on their phone, right?
Well, there are a couple of options to have it install, and there's a little on my computer when I see an app that you can install on the address on the browser, it actually has a little button that says install as an app. So that would, and if you have a paywall before they even get to that, that's how you would control access to the app.
Okay, but I should definitely get the app developer site then, right? Or no?
So for me, Vercel is my how I sell the app. So I won't have for example, for Magister, no one will have to go to the App Store or the Google Play Store to get access to it. They just go straight to my website. Once I have the payment integration done, they'll be able to just pay there for their tier. And then from that point forward, their authentication and tier method is tied into the website as opposed to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think you just addressed what I was about to comment or ask about, because I was going to say that, I've heard that the Apple Store is harder to get onto than the Google Store, but because so many things are on the Google Store, it's hard to be seen. Like you need to sort of market your app. But now I think you've just given another way to look at it.
Right. And again, like I said before, you have more control when you're the platform, when you decide where you're going to put your app and where you're going to host it. If you're doing that outside of the stores, you're in full control of that. And then you don't have to worry about an approval process. It's just you're on your own.
How are you going to market it then?
That's the tricky part, right? So
that's $1 million question, right?
I can develop and I can figure out marketing. But so one of the things that I'm going to work on is getting my Claude bot to do my marketing. So
can't wait for that, LOL.
I know it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, let's get you booked in for that one.
That might be a 2-hour one too.
I think it might be. I am trying to get into the salon to look up the next LOL, which is Suzanne, on April 4th. Sorry. First of all, thank you so much. Noemi, like an amazing.
Thank you. You were amazing as
for
always.
being here, for sticking around. I know this was a long one. I appreciate your attention and the willingness to learn. I love it.
So, and we definitely have you come back for, I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that, you haven't been able to show yet. So
and if there's questions about anything here, if you want to drop it into the event chat, please do so. I will answer as much as I can. And I know some of these things, I didn't fully get into full details, but I can do that in follow-ups.
So speaking of making apps, so on the 4th of April, Suzanne Welker-Juergens was here, but she had to leave, and she will be coming back to talk to us about from idea to automation, a real-world make.com build. So she built an app using make.com and what else? Because I can't open this. It may not Chrome. I use Atlas browser, so ChatGPT is really weird today, and I can't open it. But anyway, 4th of April, same time as today. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours. Who knows? Like we just play it by ear, right?
Right.
It's Todd actually skiing.
He's skiing.
Okay. Anyway, keep an eye on the salon events. If we love to give people a platform to explain what they've done, to help show others what they've done. If you have something you want to see, send me a message and I'll find someone who's done it to do an LOL. If you have something you want to show, send me a message. We'll get you booked in for an LOL, because every other Saturday, at least, we have something going on. So I'd love to see all of your faces up here on stage like Noemi.
That's all, folks.